Hey everyone, this is Matt Hill, voice of Ryo Sanada from Ronin Warriors, and you're watching Spoiler Force.
All right, so this is episode 147 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. This week's guest is someone that I was not expecting to get on this week, but thanks to Julian from What's in My Head podcast, my podcasting brother, man, he hooked this up. The guest I have this week, he's voiced so many roles from cartoons to anime. So let me bring my guest here, Matt Hill. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Oh, Ricky, my pleasure. Power to the old, anime there, and pulling out the classics. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I wanted to start off with Fatal Fury because that movie was one I literally grew up on. I was like still like maybe just grade school, not even.
Yeah,
My cousin Lee, he used to always play it every morning because I would go to his house,
yeah,
because I went to the elementary school where he lived, so I would go there, and he's a lot older than me, so he was by this time he's already like 10, 11, so he has his like touch in anime and fighting games, and Fatal
yeah,
Fury is one of his favorite franchises, and so in order for me to just to not bug him, he'd put
yeah.
on that movie for me. So I practically grew up with Fatal Fury. You voicing Laucorn, like your voice is just so iconic to me because it stands out.
Yeah.
With the rasp and like very youthful. And then, I your voice was always one that stuck out to me because I would hear it, and then like in anime I would hear it, Bob, like why can't I pinpoint this actor? Like I know this voice, who is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And then it wasn't until Ronin Warriors where I realized, I'm like, yo, he voices Laucorn from Fatal
You're like,
Fury.
wait a second, I recognize that voice. Oh, for sure. That's
But
awesome,
man,
man. Thank you for
uh
that.
yeah, I never realized like how much anime credits you had. Like I said, I didn't realize like your voice was I didn't realize it was your voice until I got older. So
Yeah.
doing anime for like the early classic animes, man, and seeing how much anime has changed now, how does that, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's wild because I guess I've never like that side of it when you say how anime has changed. I actually, that honest part of me goes like, has it? I don't even know. Because for us it's the same thing. Like, we go in the same studio for the most part, and we go in and scream our lungs out into the in the microphone. We hear the three beats. The director either says, yep, you got it, or nope, go again. Or some days your voice is bleeding a little bit, sometimes it's not. It's like, oh yeah, this is anime. Oh yeah. you know
Yeah, anime, it's like just like the whole culture of it, really, man, like how big it's gotten over the past
oh
couple
yeah,
years,
yeah, yeah,
like with the cons and like even
yeah.
just the animation studios and even the voice. I live here in Texas now, so like there's so many voice actors here in the Dallas area,
Oh,
and
so it's
it's
right. Well, because back in the day when we first started, Dallas was kind of like the alternative hub, wasn't it?
yeah.
I remember some of the actors saying, like, at conventions, they like that they would say, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're from the Dallas tribe," and so I didn't realize that it's now become like like the major hub, which makes sense, right? It's like there's so many talented people everywhere, so spread the love as far as I'm concerned. You know.
Yeah, but you were doing like voice acting before anime even got big in the States, though. You were still like, it was slowly transitioning. It was like right around that Toonami era of
Well, I'm
anime
that
in the
old that
States.
like I was even doing voiceover before like the dinosaurs were even like like doing dinosaurs. I just look young, but I'm actually like 3,000 years old.
No, you look great, man.
But
It's really cool to speak with a veteran of that, man. Like, because you got to see the beginning process of it before to what it's now. Because
yeah,
now you can do like remote work. You can,
yep.
like there's the streaming service now for anime. But before you and like a lot of the other anime voice veterans, you guys had to like come in the studio, record on tapes. Very limited
Oh,
tools.
oh yeah.
And to see the change now, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, like for you, it must be pretty exciting to see all of that.
Well, it's wild. Like I said, it's interesting because you're actually teaching me how much things have changed because I keep going like, hasn't changed that much for me, but we're still in the same studio for the
Yeah.
most part. Still has the same couches that kind of have the same coffee stains on them and stuff like that. But in terms of like the genre, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess from the consciousness way, way more fans are watching it. I guess in this new generation of stuff, if I'm hearing it correctly, right?
Yes, yeah, there is.
Um,
There's because there's so many different genres of anime now. But for
yeah,
me, I
right,
love my classics. Like I said,
right,
Fatal Fury, Ronin
right.
Warriors.
Yeah,
That stuff. That's some the stuff that I hold like very close to my heart.
yeah.
But I want to let fans know, man. Like, just for the old heads for Fatal Fury, man. How did you get that role of Loudcorn, man? I was like, was that one of the first anime roles you got?
Gosh, now you're making me remember that. It's kind of all a big, huge collusion of anime in I think the late '80s, early '90s, maybe the mid '90s. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here, where it was like that. We were doing a whole bunch of different shows, and so like that. Some days would be like, okay, we're gonna do Ronin Warriors. Some days we're doing Fatal Fury. Other days we're doing like Card Captors or all the other ones that we were doing, and for me personally, it was more about going, okay, just like make sure I do the right voice that they hired me for. So thank God they keep it on on tape, so that when I was like asked to do the reference and stuff like that, I could come back and do what it is I had hired for, right? So for me, that was always the thing I needed to keep in mind. So because I mean I've done a lot of stuff, but I definitely have a very mine's more limited in terms of like my like brain retention of different roles. It's like, oh, you did that? Oh, yeah, I did that. That's right. You know, and not because I didn't enjoy it, but it was because I was loving it so much as well. And for being an actor and being able to say, okay, oh my God, I was in the studio 5 days this week, or I was doing 150 episodes of anime this year. That's really awesome because it's saying, okay, we get to do what it is we came here to do, and we're making a good paycheck from what we're doing, and think like things like this when they came along, being able to talk to the fans of the shows, it just continues to sort of like keep the love alive, right? You know?
That's wonderful, man. Like, because I understand like you've done so much over the years, so it is a bit hard to remember certain things that's happened. Because like again, like it's like one big collage, like
Yeah,
like a painting. It's just so many things going on. But it is like I said, it's wonderful to know that you've have like this kind of experience because with a lot of new voice actors coming up, they're trying to gain that experience as well, like just trying to get into different shows. And now that there's even more shows than ever or more different genres for anime, like
right.
it's very available. But I guess for you, Matt, like going from just doing voicing anime and then voicing like Western cartoons like Ed, and Eddy, like, did you see any challenge in the differences of the shows?
Like between like the anime and say prelay, you mean?
Yeah, because with anime, because there's like the dubbing process, and then you have to match mouth
Yeah,
flips. But then like when you do like cartoons, like in the states, you don't really have to worry about that too much. You can kind of they go off of you a little bit. So
right.
was there differences? And I guess for your experience, did you see any differences in that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, doing anime, you just nailed it. We used to call it like painting fences. So it'd be like, okay, as long as we like get the job done in the efficient time that they've got us in the studio for, as well as say for each take, make sure we get out before the end of the third beep. Say the line before the next character comes in. So that's where the director would always be going like, oh my God, dude, you got it. Yes, that was awesome. And then the next three will be like, stop, go back. You missed it. Stop, go back. You missed it. Right. And so it's this sort of, this, feels flowy. And then sometimes it feels like you're just going, oh, I didn't do it today. And then with prelay, it's a whole other different animal, where they're animating obviously everything, after we've done the recording, right? So it's a lot more free in terms of being able to really, like, I don't know, feel the freedom of the character, let's say, because then everything that we're doing, not only are they, honoring the lines, but at the same time, then if we're on a show where the director just says like, just play, and we'll figure it out, like at the edit. I mean, that doesn't happen lots, but it's a lot more fun that way. Whereas anime was like, okay, paint the fence, don't go out of the lines, don't make the line go longer than you can have time for, or right, or you just got to keep doing it over and over and over again, right?
I've talking with like a lot of the English dub actors. Like I've
Yeah.
come to really respect, the effort that you have to put in to just even match mouth flaps, and like even for the writers, they have to make
Oh
sure
yeah.
that it makes sense. You can't just like go off on something like a whole different tangent on
Oh,
what the original script is.
absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and that's it, because then they'd be like, what? What did you just do? Right? And so that was the challenge of doing anime. But in some respects, it's fun because you just get in a good rhythm as well, right? And so it's really like that becomes sort of like the art of the craft, right? To be able to go like, ooh, awesome! I did it in like this much time today, and they were stoked with what I did, say in these sections, and I only had to redo it a few times over, like later on or whatever, right? I mean, I'm remembering like, I think it was like, God, I think Rantaro, was he the one that like did, was he, oh no, yeah, he's the one that like did the, like screamed a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like those early sessions, it was like we would scream, 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 and then I'd literally run out of air. They'd be like, you didn't get it. You need to go a little bit longer. So I'm like, for real? They're like, yeah, we didn't get it. I'm so sorry. So you're just like, like, like you're screaming and fighting and everything. I'm like sweating, bleeding out my throat, almost passing out. And they're like, we got it. Move on. So I was just like, woo, victory,
What's your thoughts on that? Like, because again, with anime, like there's a lot of fight scenes, a lot of
Oh,
grunting and screaming. So
so much. I mean, there was some days where it felt like I was like having a fight with myself because, like I'm the only one in the studio. I'm sweating bullets. And it's like sometimes I don't even know where I am, except if as long as I look down and I, see the line on the screen. Okay, I'm still here. Okay, and if I pass out, they pick me up and they, sit me back down, spit water on my face and stuff like that, you know. But what's funny, Ed and Eddy was the only prelay where it was almost like anime where we couldn't ad lib one line. We couldn't add a breath. We couldn't add anything that wasn't scripted specifically for each episode, right? Because Danny's vision was so spot on, and it was amazing. Because I mean, sometimes it made for very long, tedious sessions, but at the same time, the proof is in the creation of the product, right? I mean, we never had pickups to do, which is unheard of in prelay, right? A lot of the time, they'll maybe write the script a little bit long, right? And they'll be like, we'll just fix it in edits, or we'll have a pickup session later on where we'll fix things that didn't work, or maybe the script went a little long or whatever. And Ed Nettie was like, like, do it this way, just like anime. But this being prelay, Danny going like, I ain't letting it go till it's right inside my head, right? Because he
oh
had it
man,
all. Like he was just, it was genius in motion. Being able to work on that show, because I mean, the only show I've ever done in prelay that we've very rarely had pickups to do. So because Danny wouldn't let it go until he got what he wanted, So sometimes we'd be like, I don't know what you want, right? And he's just like, well, just do it the way I need you to do it, and then I'll let it go. We're like, oh, okay.
now that you bring up Ed and Eddy, I do want to let like fans know as well, like that show for me, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Like I loved it. Don't get it wrong, but
I can't believe it, Rick.
no
I'm
no
gonna leave now. No,
no. I loved it, but
I'm
it's
just
just
kidding.
like I watched it growing up, but I wasn't
Yeah,
like consistently watching it as a
yeah,
kid
yeah, yeah,
because I
yeah,
was more into the anime stuff. But
yeah.
Ed and Eddy stands out because of just how the cartoon and animation looked, and my mom hated it. I remember my mom was like, "Why are you watching this?
Dude,
It
this is
looks so dumb."
stupid. I
And
know.
like,
Yeah, I
and
know.
it
My
was,
mom's
what's
the
ironic,
same.
Matt, is like
Yeah.
she
Huh?
hated Ed the most.
Yeah.
Like that's the character my mom hated the most. She's like, "Why do you like Ed so much?"
That's
I'm like,
okay. Tell your
he's
mom she was just uneducated on the love of the Ed. Not uneducated, but just uneducated on the love of Ed. That's it. It's okay.
and that's exactly why she didn't like it. I guess it's just about how you portrayed his voice. Like she was like, Ricky, why do you like his character so much? I'm like
So
he's the
stupid.
greatest. Like the scene where he's
Oh,
like the one episode where he sleepwalks and like he just
oh my god.
drags everything with him.
Oh
And
yeah.
like oh man, like that episode, and then like him making toast and like
Oh yeah.
putting butter in his shoes and
Yep.
like all this weird shit that he does and throughout
Yep.
Edna and Eddie. My
Uh,
mom specifically, she hated it, but
I
she
loved
could
it. Yeah.
she wouldn't like she hated the show, but she would still let me watch it. I
Yeah.
don't know why, but like she would just like you enjoy it,
Yeah.
watch it, but I
So
hate it.
you
It's
enjoy it, that's
annoying.
okay. You're not out, making trouble out in
Yeah.
the world. Okay, you can watch it. I know. Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think my mom's reaction when I first showed them the first episode was like, "You get paid to do that?" Yeah, pretty awesome, hey? I mean, they came around obviously, but so it's not for everyone, but it's definitely for some, and even at Ed and Eddy, it's a show that is, I believe with my heart, why it's still so popular to this day, because it kind of was created in that time frame when that type of animation was obviously just rocket fuel popular in terms of like being so unique,
Yeah.
and the storylines, and the vision that Danny and the creative team had, and with all due respect, I think with the cast that he was able to put together, and I think in a way force us to continue to get better and better and better in what we did in terms of like the show's vision coming to fruition every episode. So I think it's why it's kind of stayed the test of time, I guess.
I mean, it really, literally is a classic, man. Like even on like
Oh
social media today, people would
yeah,
use the Ed Boys and
yeah,
memes or like,
yeah. Oh,
you
I
know,
know, I love
the,
it. Well, I love that. We would have the thing, you like, you remember Cartoon Friday,
oh
right?
man,
And so like
oh man.
being a classic, going like I hadn't done that for so long. It's so great to be able to do it again.
I love just like the takes that even like for Cartoon Network, how they
Yeah,
would do like the commercial ads and have the
yeah,
collaborations of all the characters together,
yeah.
So
Oh
like
yeah,
I love that, but then like just kind of bring back to Ed, Edd n Eddy, man. Like that show, like you said, the animation just was so unique,
yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and I think a lot of fans who do watch Ed, Edd n Eddy, like me, grew up with these characters, and
Yeah,
like a lot of us who were young watching this felt like the Ed boys, always trying to
yeah.
think of something fun to do,
Oh
or
yeah.
like Eddie's always hustling, trying to get the next quarter, and then you got Double D like thinking of plans and how
Yep.
to make things, and you got Ed just living life, just like rolling with the wind with all of them,
Oh yeah.
so it's so cool to see like how you as the voice actors like bring that art to life. And then like I wanted to bring up this too because literally today I saw like this clip going on Instagram again. That's like the like just like the behind the scenes stuff. I'm pretty sure you've seen it as well on the internet. Like
Oh, okay.
it's been
Yeah.
circulating again, and just like the
Oh, okay.
behind the scenes for Ed Nettie.
Yeah.
And like I see all these comments like, man, like the actors look just like the characters in the cartoon.
Well, that's the wild thing too. Was like when we finally got to like, I think we had like 8 official callbacks, which is unheard of for any show, right? And but when when it sort of like started whittling down to like, like 3 of us would be in the room at the same time, but we'd all have the same script of, say like Ed, single D, and then there'd be 3 double Ds and 3 Eddies, and the Kanker sisters, and Rolf and those guys. But then it was like this sort of magical moment where we kind of went like, oh, like I remember being in the studio with like Sam and Tony. It turned out to just be the 3 of us for this one day, and I think for that final one there was us and like one other set of Eds, like, I guess, that they were trying to basically decide on. And we had no idea, like as actors, we're just like, we just want to give you what you want so you can hire us, so we can, like get this painful process over and, sign the contract on the dotted line. And, my character, Ed, I could see like Danny was getting so frustrated because he knew what he wanted from Ed. Like, but for me, for instance, right? Because he was like, he's got to be like brainless, but he's not stupid, like stuff like that. And this one final like callback, it was wild. I was just out of desperation. I did what you're not supposed to do, which is I stopped for a second and I was like, oh, excuse me, guys. And I went and I tapped on the microphone, and which you don't do, right? The engineer's like, you just hit the microphone. I'm like, how do you get water from this thing here? Right. And literally, I saw Danny on the other side of the glass going, oh my God. Oh my God. And I thought, oh, fuck, that's it. I'm dead. I'm fired before I'm even hired. And he's going, did you get that recorded? The engineer's like, yeah, I got it. Looking at me like, I'm going to kill you. And so he goes, let him listen to that. That's Ed. Right. And so
Oh
they let
shit.
me listen to what I did. And, they're, how do you get water from this thing here? And he's like, do that and you're hired. Right. And thank God for the first 13 episodes. Every time I get away from, doing Ed, from sort of coming in sideways, he'd be like, playing the thing, playing the take, playing the thing. Right. So I'd hear, how do you get water from this thing here? And, but it really helped because then I could play within this sort of, this sandbox that they were writing Ed in, right? And so it was super specific, but yet so freeform in a way as well, which gave me a lot of freedom because it was awesome. Because the only time in a cartoon where they said, we don't want you to read the script beforehand, don't prepare. We want Ed to literally, like you said, just come in from like left field or come in from underneath or, like, hello, light, and he comes in from over here and, kick my feet, right? And it was such a joy to play. And, like I say, I feel honored that I got chose to play him, so.
I mean, was that voice just something you improv then, or
Well,
is this just
like I said, it kind of just it ended up evolving. I get and like that mistake of doing the thing on the mic really kind of solidified the well, I don't know, guys, because how Ed's always just like, I don't know, Eddie, and then like, oh my God, I love chickens, right? It
yeah?
was just this celebration of all these lines that, thank God, even the way he wrote them, I'd just stand there and go like, okay, there's Eddie's line, okay, there's Double D's line, Ed, okay, right, and I love chickens, right, or whatever, and huh, but even sometimes the simplest line would get stuck in this mire of going like that, like a laugh one day, right? You think like saying, going like, oh, funny, Eddie. You'd think that that'd be easy. Some days Danny would be like, doesn't sound like Ed. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't sound like Ed? I'm like, it goes, doesn't sound like Ed. We're not moving forward till it sounds like Ed. And I was like, oh, so you do 40 takes, doing the laugh just to get the line, and usually it was one of us like that. It sort of got stuck on a line and then it would be their turn. So, so one day it'd be me, then it'd be Sam, and then it'd be Tony, and the rest of the cast as well. They all have their own stories of oh yeah, ooh, that was a tough day that day. Yeah.
What would you say was, I guess, the toughest moment for Ed for you? Like, I guess from what for I guess for his character, like, was there anything that was specifically tough that you remember, but like one of his lines or just his laugh or something?
Like that, like sometimes I know as an actor, I was bringing everything that I had, and like that, I'd sometimes be going, guys, I'm sweating like bullets. My voice is like, I'm going as big as I can go. And then I'd hear, bigger. You got to go bigger. The three Eds, that was sort of like, I think we all went to therapy afterwards sometimes because we would hear like, because those scenes where like Double D's going nuts, Eddie's going nuts, and then there's Ed, going through the middle of the scene going crazy. Imagine recording that. We were like at 11 plus, and then sometimes like then Danny would be like, well, it's good, but it's not quite there. Energy. We'd be going like, okay, take a break, come back 5 minutes later, and then we just like rip through it like there's nobody's business. And then it would be like, oh, see, there, you got it. Oh, the
Man,
best of times, the best of times.
oh man, that is like so good to know, like these behind the scenes stories for like
Yeah.
Ed and Eddie. Like, listening to the podcast that you had with Julian, and then even the one
Mm,
with you, Sam, and Tony on there, that
yeah,
reunion, man, like
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
that
That was fun.
you guys were just like, it's like you guys never left. Just seeing how all you guys got together, and
Yeah,
like it's still like the same as if it was when Ed, Ed and Eddy is
yeah.
still airing on TV.
Well, that's
But
the beauty of say doing, I think, cartoons as well. And I think voiceover in general is there's something that's really special to be able to gather with a group of people that you've gotten to do this creative stuff with. You create bonds in ways that that maybe you don't do in other jobs. Maybe I don't know. You know.
have you thought about, like, I don't know if you have, but have you thought about going to cons? I guess I
Oh
know
yeah,
with
I've been to
convention.
lots of cons. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yep. Yep.
okay.
Yep, yep. No, I'm going to a
Yeah.
couple. I'm going to one in Florida in August. Actually, it's going to be an Ed, Ed and Eddy. Me and what do you call it? Peter, who plays Rolf.
Oh
Me and
yeah,
him,
Peter
we're going
Calamus.
to be going to one in Florida, and then I'm going to one in April, and another one in June, I think, at this point. So, um, if that's what you meant by cons,
Oh yeah, 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 just like conventions in general. Because
yeah,
I've I met Peter once at Kamea Con, because I knew he voiced Goku way back in the
yeah.
day, and so like
He is so
and so like
talented, man. Oh my
and,
god.
and meeting and meeting him in person was just hilarious, because when he did the Rolf voice and hearing
Yeah,
it like in
yeah,
front of
yeah,
me, oh my god, it's never aged. Like
yeah,
it still sounds like Rolf,
yeah.
and
Oh
the whole
yeah,
Son of the Shepherd line, and then like hearing him say like Goku lines in Rolf's voice, like it was freaking amazing.
yep.
Uh,
Well, that's Peter, man. He is such a talented dude. He's and a stand-up citizen too. He's a good guy. It's a good guy.
if you want to start your own podcast like Spoiler Force, then sign up with Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of users like me to begin their podcasting journey. With easy to use tools, you can effectively get your podcast into different platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view your stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout offers ideas, tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you improve your podcast. Follow the link below, and once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This will let Buzzsprout know that I sent you and will also support Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want a simpler way to record both video and audio for your podcast, then sign up with StreamYard. StreamYard is the perfect program to create podcasts, host live streams, and even do video calls. There are many tools that can help you create and design your own personal studio. You can screen share, read live comments, and stream to different destinations like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also download your video and audio once you're done with your recording session. Follow the link below, and once you sign up with the basic or pro plan, you'll earn a $10 credit to use for StreamYard. Happy podcasting. I know that you've also been doing like a lot of I want to say, like, I guess, marathon running. I know that you've done that. I watched one of your TED Talks that you did a couple years back,
Oh,
and
sweet.
yeah, I never knew that you were like taking that marathon stuff, like it was like a serious thing, like running around the states and like going to schools and all of that.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh, for
something that you're
sure.
still doing now too?
Yeah. I mean, that was our tour called Run for One Planet. And so me and my former partner Stephanie, we ran 11,000 miles across Canada and then all the way around the perimeter of the states. And then along the way, we went to I guess we met about 50,000 kids in 240 schools. And it was that same thing, sharing our message, which was, using running as a basically a kind of inspiration way to share the message. And then, meeting as many kids as we possibly could to just help them make, good choices for a healthier world. And essentially, it kind of turned into just this incredible way of being able to use the voices, and in some respects, being the voice of Ed in that moment absolutely like elevated our message in the schools like times 11. It was unbelievable to be able, or being, Raphael or, one of the Care Bears. And I didn't realize it when we went out. In fact, I was kind of going like, we shouldn't really talk about the voices much. And, and then one time we were completely dying in this one event because the kids were going like, these guys are boring. And, thank God my partner Steph, she's just like, it's like, we got to use the cartoons. And I was like, yeah, okay. So it's just like, hey, sparkly people, who wants to save the planet with Ed and Stephanie, right? And like 2,000 kids went from like, these guys are boring to like, oh my God, oh my God. Right. So in that moment, we knew that that was our audience. Right. And so it was such a gift, to then be able to authentically go into all of these situations and say, hey, I'm this voice, and then play with them by doing these voices, but then at the same time being able to impact their lives in a positive way, by saying, hey, you know what, you matter, and your life matters as well, and we want you to live up in a really healthy world, and let's kind of all come together on this sort of planet posse that we were on, and make a difference in people's lives. And it's still probably one of the most special experiences I've ever had running. Was being able to go into hundreds of schools, and have all these kids just and teachers go, oh my God, thank you for doing this job, because like my life was elevated, you being Raphael, and I grew up in a really tough neighborhood, and the way of the turtle really helped me believe in myself, and you playing Raphael, I thought you knocked it out of the park, and and same thing with like Ed and Eddy, right? Going, these kids, they have nothing, but yet these voices that we were doing was kind of adding so much joy into the situation, right? And so it was just a very humbling experience, right? Because they're looking at me going like, thank you for doing this, and I'm going, oh my God, you guys, thank you for giving me a great life, right? It was and I never would have got that experience if we hadn't have gone out on that big adventure, so very grateful for that. And like I said, the timing of especially Ed being so huge in America in that moment, or say Ed and Eddy, I was like, thank you, Ed, thank you, thank you, thank you, because it really helped us to reach so many kids in a way that I think it wouldn't have had that same sparkle to it, right? So
to kind of like just take it back here, Matt, like what inspired you to start running in the first place? Was it like a personal thing, or did you have like health issues at all, and then like decided to change
yeah,
your
no,
lifestyle?
running's, oh man, but yeah, I shocked my mom up in heaven. She would tell you, I kind of hit the ground running. I kind of skipped crawling. And when I was about 2, she left the front door open on our house by mistake. And, she's like, Matthew, uh-oh, my kid's gone. And she literally, I was like gone. And as soon as I could like find my wheels, I was just like, phew. And she found me down at the beach. We lived in a town called West Vancouver, which is on the ocean. So it was it was a perfect spot for me, and just meeting people, and being out in nature. That really, I just had this, I don't know, just this desire. Instead of just walking somewhere, I just ran there. Like as a kid, right? I'm always testing myself, wanting to see, oh, can I beat my time? I didn't have a watch, but you know what I mean. Just like, can I get there faster than I did the last time, or how much more out of breath can I be, or whatever game I was playing with myself at the time, and it kind of really instilled in me this, I guess in a way, this mission that I've been on for my whole life, which was to find a way to be as sustainable in my running and in my life as possible. And so because as I started to add distances, those were sort of like mini milestones for me, right? So, like the first time I ran around my town that, we ended up moving to, which was, I guess it was about maybe 20K around. I did that when I was 10. And then the first time I ran to my elementary school and back, and that was like maybe 15 kilometers. And so there was always all these sort of life progressions setting me up to then when, we ended up doing the big one looper around North America was when I was 40, right? But if I hadn't have done all those, little mini one loopers from, running out, when I saw that the front door was open when I was 2, right, to that moment of really going like, oh my God, I think I could actually do this, right? It changed everything. And so for me, marathons, that's why it's kind of been the perfect distance. Cause I mean, I'm not fast by any means. It's more about being able to just I guess that's why my motto is, small steps add up, and, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, right? Because, because some days it ain't pretty, uh, but some days it's quite beautiful, Even a former Ninja Turtle, Ed and Eddy guy like me, and it's helped me stay on this path where, when I say I had a setback, or if I've had a health challenge, it's the same thing. Or if I've had an injury, it's been in so that I can kind of in a way regroup and go, oh, okay, my plan is to run till I, leave this earth, hopefully when I'm like 104. But in the meantime, if I have an injury or if I have an illness, it's being smart about going, okay, what do I need to do to heal? What do I need to do to be able to get back on the runs of my life? Right. And so for me, it's more been, I guess in a way, if I was a surfer, it'd be that same thing, going like, okay, ride in that next wave. Right.
And that is wonderful. Like the way how you just use running to kind of just and apply it into your daily life. And like it's not just physically being endurance, like having endurance, but it's also like mental or even at times like spiritual endurance. Like
Oh,
you just or
100%.
emotional endurance, like
Yeah.
I
And
think
you
that's
nailed
great
it.
that like it's great that you brought that up to kind of like because for even for your acting career, like I'm pretty sure you've had setbacks as well. And running has helped
100%.
you kind of like deal with a lot of those issues as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like you nailed it, Ricky. It really became a metaphor for life, really. I mean, so many different times throughout my life where I realized, going, wow, running's really been my best friend my whole life, right? It's almost like this sort of silent trail partner, right? That I'm like, oh, it's my shadow. Oh, okay, that's me. Obviously figuratively and spiritually, right? It's oh yeah, I mean, and and being able to connect with something else that sometimes it's just like I can't even describe it, except it's like when you kind of go, ah, I know why we're here. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, and sometimes it happens. It's not the magic, like looking up at the stars. Absolutely, that's a lot of the time what it is. But there's moments when sometimes it's like I'm, for some reason, like so hungry, and all I can think of is like getting to the next store where I could like get an ice cream, or whatever it is that like I'm craving, and that is like those meet at the end, and it's just like, oh, that was the best run I've ever had in my life. you know? And yeah, and then other times it's just like, oh, this is the toughest run from the first step, right? But I've got this many to do. So, it's just like you just like that, you just put one foot in front of the other. And, you know, um, for me on Run for One Planet a lot, it was actually kind of cool because a lot of the time I really was, we were tired a lot of the time because, me and Steph, we were doing a marathon each a day. So that's a lot of running. And we would sometimes get to the point where, you're out of calories. So then, you get to the point where you're starting to weave a little bit, where I am at least, tired. I didn't want to sort of lean too much into traffic, right? Because, there's still cars whizzing by a lot of the time. But like that's where I believe that the good Lord above had my back a lot, and um, kept me safe and kept us safe because we knew in that respect we were going out to sort of like reach out large, and there was no guarantees that that we were going to come back alive, right? But every day I prayed that that would be what our result was, that we would not only arrive alive, but we would come back successful and having reached as many people as we could. And so I feel very grateful for that.
Oh, that's
You
really like really inspiring, man. Like I'm not like I don't love running. Like when
know,
I used to like do wrestling, like running or doing sprints was the worst thing for me. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But
yeah,
then it definitely does like doing like long
excuse me.
distance running like that. Like I've never personally done it, but my dad used to do that. Like
Yeah,
he was a soccer player growing up, so he'd always run when he
yeah,
was very young, and he like you he'd run to school and back.
yeah,
So I think it's
yeah,
really cool that you've used running pretty much the majority of your life. But you know I kind of want to bring this back to the voice acting stuff. So like you've done running after voice acting now. But have you ever have you decided to, or do you ever want to decide to go back and do acting again?
Oh, you mean like film and TV and stuff like
Or like,
that?
I mean, like just like,
Or
yeah, like right now, like would you consider like doing voice acting again if there was
oh,
roles for
absolutely.
you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, this last couple of years has been very interesting because, like everything, even the voiceover industry has changed a lot. And so for many, it's awesome because it's allowed a ton of people to be able to participate in it and and be part of this industry that is I mean it's a great way to earn a living, and it's a great creative way to be able to do your craft, right? And so I've had to stick handle sort of like, I guess in some respects, for want of a better word, the biggest pause in new series that I've ever had. Because I guess it's been I was year 30, and then it just got really slow. But I don't know, I've just always believer that there's a reason for it. I mean, in that meantime, I'm just about finished writing my first book, so
Oh, nice.
that'll be out in the next few months, which is essentially the first half of my life story, and life like that, life in acting and in cartoons and in running, as because those have really been the three themes of my life, and so like that, it's neat because I've sometimes, when even I want to push time and go like, come on, I'm ready to like book another gig, but then sometimes it's like, chill, grasshopper, that it all become, you know what I mean? And when I just chill on that, sometimes I go like, Matt, do what you do, just do other things. You can share your voice a different way, right? And so for me, it's been really neat to be writing this book, and be definitely within the proverbial 10K of the last, of the marathon distance that I've been sort of writing it on. So it'll be neat to finally hit the end, and be able to get it out there in the world, and then now be back, now that obviously COVID has now opened up stuff big time. I'm stoked to be able to go and talk to kids in schools again. So because I think for me, even though I'm probably not going to run a big distance like that again, because that really, I think in some respects, is a once in a lifetime. But what I'd love to do is be able to keep my mission of going around the planet, but by doing a school event, still have that same model where I go, I get paid to go speak to the kids, but then I do the run with them so that they're also contributing to their own health. And then also this big, hairy, audacious goal that I have, which is to run around the earth. So, so I'll keep you posted, man, because, um, that at least feels the most right in this moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with after the pandemic too, man. I've learned that how serious like one's health is, man.
Yeah.
Because I've had COVID, and then going
Oh,
through that, and like
right.
it made me realize like, man, like I thank God I wasn't like a smoker, or like did anything like too heavy in drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was able to kick COVID within like a couple days. But like
Yeah.
some people I know, man, like personally in my life, like who've suffered the effects of like drug use or even smoking cigarettes, like that hit
Yeah.
them hard. and
Yeah.
and, and like it just it's great that you're still sending out this message to stay healthy and to just do something very simple as just running, just to run and keep your body moving, and like to just kind of spread like awareness to one's health. That way you're not like, if anything should happen to your body or to your health, that you can still kind of like fight that off. Because I think with I think with what you're doing, man, I think it's really great to still you know push that ideal out. Because I'm not saying like everyone doesn't like to work out, but there's always
Well,
it,
you know what I think it is, Ricky. If maybe if I even restate it, for me, it's even become recently where it's about moving.
yeah.
So we were gifted these bodies, these skin bags with muscles and ligaments and hair and skin and the way we look. And so whatever it is, in my personal opinion, it is that lights us up to be able to go, hey, you know what? I feel great in this body. And so whatever that is for somebody, that to me, that's the greatest gift that you can give yourself and the world, right?
Exactly.
Because for me, I mean, and even lately, because I had a bit of a health blip earlier in the year. I got a thing called pericarditis, which is a inflammation around the heart lining. So for about a couple months, I was just like sidelined, and I thought, "Oh my God, is it over?" And thank God I was able to get back to the to. I mean, I'm just recently back to the runs, but I've been walking for like basically the last year, because the same thing of having just a low energy level, and having to honor, okay, my heart was saying, okay, this is not feeling good, you need to just take it easy, dude. Right. And so so I've even, like, I've been a swimmer my whole life too, but so I'm taking up swimming probably more so after this podcast as well. So stay
Nice.
tuned, because the obviously the long distance athlete in me is always saying, go more, you can go more, Matt. So I'm I'm uh, I'm 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 early trappings of thinking of wanting to swim from Hawaii to the west coast of the states. So because that would go right through the Pacific garbage patch, which for me also the same thing is bringing awareness that we can all contribute or not contribute to single-use plastics, not entering the water systems. And so, yeah, I'm actually quite excited, because for me, that's something that I never thought at 55 that I would go, yeah, you know what? I think I could swim from Hawaii to the West Coast. I mean, maybe I'm the biggest idiot on the planet, but I don't think I am. I feel like it might be the perfect timing to be able to take everything I've learned with, say, endurance training, as well as the same thing. I'm not going to go out there and I'm not doing it for my ego. I'm wanting to do it because it's another way of being able to, when I connect with kids, being able to say, "Hey guys, here's what I'm up to. Let it inspire you in your life for whatever it is that you end up wanting to be up to," if that makes sense.
Oh no, that's perfect. Like even for me, like even like I said, I'm not like the biggest runner or I hate swimming too.
Yeah,
I
that's
can
great.
I can float,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
hate swimming. But like like, just hearing how passionate you are about your craft and the things that you're doing, like it really kind of it's very motivating, to hear like for someone your age who's still doing that. Usually people around your age are kind of like sit back and relax and by now like near retirement at this point, but
yeah.
you're still active, you're still like increase, like you're still having goals to be physically active, which is really great. But man, like I can't wait to see how you're gonna do this swimming challenge though, because like I'm just like picturing like from the distance from Hawaii to the West Coast, man. That's and
Dude,
swimming in the
well,
ocean too. Oh my
yeah.
god.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's and it's funny, like, even saying it, there's this one little voice in me going like, "Are you crazy?" But I don't know. But I mean, it's no different with Run for One Planet. I swear to God, I remember saying to Steph when I shared with her that, like, what do you think? And then I was like, "Do you think I'm crazy?" And she's like, "Yeah, you are, but you care." And I love crazy people too. And so that's why, my dream of one became a dream of two, which then ballooned into, having our dream team of 30 volunteers, all volunteering their time to get us and the message out there. And so that's what still inspires me the most, is to still go, okay, let's see what I can do. Because like that, like at some point we are going to go back to dust. And so I want to be able to say, you know what, I did the best with what God gifted me with. And slow like a turtle I go. And so that's my motto. So
Man, that is truly amazing, man. I applaud you for that.
and a big
Just
thick wetsuit.
from voice acting to, or from just acting in general to being like the athlete that you are now, man. It's just so cool to hear your experience, man. And I do got some fan questions here for you today
Sure.
too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wanted to get to some of these here. Uh, let's see. Let's start with this first one here. This one I got on Instagram. We touched up on this a little bit, but maybe you can kind of go more into depth with this question here. So the question that is asked is from let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Okay. Oh, here it is. From Anime Lover 087.
Hello,
They
anime
ask
lover 807.
they ask the question is will you be able to come to cons? She would love to meet you. I mean, we touched upon this a little bit
Yes,
already, but
yeah.
you said you are going to one in Florida, and you
Well,
have
yeah,
other ones
well,
set up as well.
yes, yeah. Currently, sorry, my brain's not remembering the other two that are in play right now. But
Okay,
if she wants to go look on my website, which is matt-hill.com, once those all sort of get put together, then I just get stuff posted up that way,
perfect.
and hopefully,
Yeah,
maybe we'll get to meet someday.
yeah. Hopefully. I mean, there's tons of cons here in Texas too,
Yeah,
so hopefully you
yeah,
come. And I know Peter's come to several cons here
yeah.
in Texas, and maybe
Actually,
you can come with
we
him.
came. I came to a few actually in Dallas, with
Nice.
for My Little Pony. Well, and also for Ed and stuff. So yeah, I mean, everything was kind of lumped into one.
Well, she did have another comment after her question. I just wanted to
Yeah,
share this with you because she is a fan of your content as well. Um, she said Bonkatsu is her favorite antagonist in Inuyasha, and she cosplays that character a lot. So I wanted to let you know that like
yeah.
she brought that up, and I was like, oh yeah, that Matt Hill isn't he is in Inuyasha?
What was what was his big line again? Was that like "We will rule the world"? Was that like kind of in that
I think
genre?
it's around that.
I think
Yeah, I
it's
think
kind of in that, wasn't it?
it's.
Yeah,
I don't recall too much of Inuyasha because like that was one I didn't really watch,
yeah,
but I watched some of the clips that because she mentioned this or
yeah,
they mentioned this in the comments. I was like I had to go back and look at it, and I was like,
yeah.
oh man, like
Like, oh, we
you
did.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man, it's like your voice hasn't changed at all, man. Like if this was just strictly an audio podcast, I wouldn't. I'd still think you would be like as young as you were recording those animes back in the day, man.
Well,
Your
it's
voice
funny
is.
because I say I'm 55, but I'm actually 147. You guys, that's actually how old I am. Thanks,
uh,
Ricky. Thanks.
let's see here. We got some questions here on Twitter. We got one from Shoddy. He says, "What's your favorite episode of Ed, Ed and Eddy?"
Oh, for me, the Christmas episode, hands down, because Christmas is my personal favorite anyhow. And I just love, like, Ed's joy was my joy when he just absolutely destroyed the entire house, getting things set up for Santa and putting up, the gravy cakes and oh yeah, I love Ed. He's my friend.
And speaking of Christmas, we have Alex Boone here. He asks, "Do you remember working on the 1998 adaptation of Rudolph? That was the version he grew up with."
Ooh, I do. Who did I play? Arrow?
I don't. I didn't even know you were on that on Rudolph. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Was it? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. Was that an ABC? I think.
I'm
Can't remember.
assuming it's the claymation one. Maybe it's that
Oh,
one?
yeah. I don't remember, but I do remember. Yes, that. So thank you, sir. I had fun.
And then the last question here is from our friend Julian from What's in My Head podcast.
Julian.
Yeah, so Julian says he was.
Julian's a new dad. His
Yes,
wife's a new mom. Way to go, you
yeah,
guys.
and in one of his recent episodes he said that he was gonna have a daughter next.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
congrats to Julian
Nice
and
work,
his wife.
Julian and family.
He asks if you were throwing a dinner party and
Yep,
could have 5 people dead or
yep,
alive
yep.
plus yourself, who would you let's see, what would you make and what would the conversation be about? So that's like
Ooh, wow.
so we'll
Well,
kind of sum it to
okay, I would have. Well, I mean, I would have to have my friend Julian there.
that's one.
That's one. I would have to have my Ed brothers,
Sam
right?
and Tony.
Sam and Tony. I would have to have a chicken. Not to eat because as you know, I love chickens, right? So I don't like to eat chickens. Um, I would have. What would we have for dinner? We would have. Uh,
Buttered toast.
yes, we would have butter toast. Yes, thanks for the save, Ricky. We would have butter toast, and we would have gravy cakes, and we would and with an au jus baked salmon. How's that?
And then
And
no,
then
that's
what?
perfect.
And
And
then
he
what will
and
we talk about?
yeah, the
No.
last part was what would the conversation be?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
what was the conversation? It would be the existential. How do you say that word?
Existential.
Existential. Yeah, the existential question of um who made the pencil first, or the chicken, or the gravy. I think that would be our points of topic. Oh no, and also, who do you think is going to win the next U.S. election? I think that would be, or that might be that might be a supper ender.
I could see that literally being like like an Ed and Eddy episode, or
Yeah,
like a special, it's like a special episode, just seeing the Ed boys reunite and just talking to each other over dinner.
we've talked about it. We've talked about it. Yep. No, absolutely. It's funny because like there was it sounds like there was a lot of interest around it for a while, but we didn't hear anything about it, so I don't think it was like a for real thing. Um, but it, to me, it just shows that the fans, it meant a lot to the fans, and so I'm stoked that like this, still get to talk about it this way, and and if they ever did a reboot of it, I know me, Sam, Tony, Peter, everybody, we all, I think, collectively say the same thing. We would decline, because, and I don't think Danny would ever redo it, because like that, it's like, for a different way, but it would be like rebooting Seinfeld,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's good to just
Like,
have it as
yeah,
is in that first one, and then if
have them
there
as
is, let's just say if there is a reboot of it, it's someone else's iteration of the show.
yeah,
So
different story, right? Yeah, yeah, no,
right,
exactly. So yeah, I mean, some things you just gotta let them, just let them be, right?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because there's so many like rehashes and like remakes of things nowadays,
yeah,
like with
that's
movies and shows. So
yeah,
like I totally get the idea of just like leaving it as is,
yeah.
because I mean, like there are some remakes that are, I'm not gonna say like there are some that are good, but I think with
Oh,
Ed Boys, like that is,
yeah,
with the Eds, like
yeah,
that's its own treasure, man. Like I think that's something
absolutely.
that's like,
Yeah,
leave it as is. Like
yeah,
I said, if there's someone
yeah,
who's a creative that wants like their own iteration of it, go for it. But I think like you said though, like just bring a new cast, you know,
yeah.
let there be a new set of cast and
But
see
then
who latches onto those characters.
it's funny, but then the actor in me would be like, "What? They're doing a new edit. Okay, hold on. How do I get in the session?" So you see the recording, and then you like see these little heads coming up from below, going like, "What are you guys doing?"
Oh, but I'm sure though, if there was ever something like that though, I'm sure like even if you guys don't voice your own character again, you guys would come in as cameos to see
No way. No.
if people would come in and be
Uh-uh.
like,
Well,
no,
actually,
not
that's what
even.
I gotta love about Danny too. There was no guests,
Right.
right?
Okay.
Like, I mean, what did he play? What did he play Eddie's dad for
I
like the
think
last?
so.
I think that was it. There was, yeah, so no guest cast, man. I think so it's just like, just let it be what it is. That's what I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then I'm not out of a job talking about the show.
I think it's great though. Like
It's,
even if there is no reboot though, like I hopefully one day there is some sort of reunion for the cast to just come. Like
that would
how
be,
HBO did like the Harry Potter
yeah,
stuff. How the
I would
cast
love
came
that.
together,
Yeah.
or like the
Oh,
Friends
absolutely.
reunion. I
Yeah.
think that would be great
Yeah.
to see like a Ed
Yeah.
and Eddie
Yeah,
cast reunion.
we were trying to get Tony on board for the one in Florida, as well as Sam, and but I mean, hey, you've got to respect that, man. They've both got
Yeah.
lives that they're living as well, right? And it's just my fantasy. That's all. Just I haven't
May,
moved on, but
well,
that's okay.
hopefully their minds would change in the future, but like like you said, to just respect their
Or
boundaries from
with
that.
$1 million, I bet you that would go. I bet you they'd go like, yes, we're there. So if everybody
But
wants to put, like 50 cents or a quarter into the jar, right? I bet you we could get Eddie to a convention fund, and I bet you, come on, fans, you can do it.
oh man, that'd be so cool though. Like everyone comes in a glass jar of just quarters, or like big old what was it? The jawbreakers. Oh my god.
Stranger things have happened.
Well, Matt, I've enjoyed this time with you, speaking to you about just your,
Me
what
too,
you've
brother.
done and in your experience, man.
Thank
Like
you.
honestly, like I'm like really motivated just hearing how passionate you are about your craft and your content, man. And
Thank you.
hopefully one day, we get to meet at a con in person.
Where
I
do
wish
you
nothing but the best for you, man.
Where do you hail from?
I'm from. I recently moved to Dallas last year, so
Oh, great.
I'm in
Okay.
like the Dallas
So you
area.
know what? Somewhere down the line, brother, I bet you we will, because there's my former agent actually lives just outside of Dallas, so
Okay.
I'm sure at some point I'll be down in that neck of the woods. So I'll definitely look you up, brother. And seriously, thank you for what you're doing as well, because it's a big deal. Because if I was reliant on doing all this technical stuff and putting like all this stuff together, well, the world would fall apart. So thank you for the world of Ricky, because you guys rock, dude. Thank you. And if you are passionate about floating, be the best floater that you've ever been.
Oh yeah, definitely. I do it.
Everybody needs a
I
floater.
float enough to just survive, man. Like that's the goal.
It's beautiful.
Well,
But thank
this
you
is
for this honor.
no, man. Thank you, dude. Like again, thank you, man, and thank you to Julian
Yeah.
for setting
Thanks,
this up, man.
Julian.
Like
Thanks,
it
buddy.
wouldn't have been possible without him. But before we wrap things up here, Matt, if people do want to follow you, I know you said you had a website, but do you also like have socials at all so people can follow you on there, like
Socials.
Instagram or
Yeah, I'm so bad at Instagram. I can't even remember what my handle is. But if you go to my website, matt-hill.com, my handle's on the bottom
perfect?
for
I'll have that in the show notes as
Instagram.
well. So
I think so, yeah. Oh, and also
yeah,
too, if the fans want to get a Christmas present or a happy birthday present for somebody, I'm also on Cameo. And so
perfect.
that's been a blast doing personal videos for people of Ed and lots of anime characters. I just did one for Ronin Warriors actually a couple weeks ago.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Oh, okay, before we close things off here, there was one thing I saw on now that you bring up Cameo, I saw one someone requested you do like to sing a song as the Ed. It was one of the outfield songs,
Oh
Your
yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
And like that was like that was trending on TikTok and
Was
people
it?
were saying like, yeah, like or I
How do
don't
you
think your I don't think it was your cameo, but it was like the little clip of Ed
Yeah, yeah,
like an
yeah.
animated Ed singing that was
Yeah.
being trending on TikTok, and I saw the video of the cameo on
Yeah.
YouTube where someone requested you to sing
Oh,
"Outfield's Your Love"
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
Ed. Man, that like I don't know, like the animation, whoever animated that, like, and it just you could hear your voice as Ed singing that song. Like I just thought it was really cool that you brought up cameo. I wanted to
Well, like I
just
say, it's honored, even to be trending like next door to TikTok. That's like I feel so elevated in the world. It's great.
But yeah, so this is pretty much it, man. Thank you again, Matt, for being on the show. Again, for
Please,
anyone who wants to follow Matt on his social media, I have all the links in the show notes. You can follow him there, and on his website. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Spoiler Force. Follow Matt on Instagram. Make sure you check out his website. Make sure you check out his Cameo if you want to send Valentine's videos or Christmas
absolutely.
videos or birthdays
Reach
videos.
out. I'll be there for you. As well as one of my favorite things that I love saying on a lot of the cameo ones. Now at the end, I always be like, "Remember, keep kicking your feet towards your dreams." So
And that's a great way to end this episode. But this
yeah.
is episode 147. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Thank you again, Matt. I cannot say it enough. Thank you again.
Thanks,
But
Ricky.
yeah, thank you guys and
You're a
have
good
a great
man.
day.
Thank you for having me on your 147th episode on my 147th birthday too. So awesome.
Perfect. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give a review and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want to get all Spoiler Force updates or even peeks at behind the scenes, you can join the Spoiler Force Discord community. And if you'd like to show support, give tips, recommendations, sponsorships, or any collaborations, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com.